Welcome back to Martial Arts and the Life. Tonight we're going to talk about UFC Fight Night 174, Whitaker versus Till. And I got to say, it was a fun card to watch.
Yeah, it was. Two good ones in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Chimaev, what the hell are they feeding that boy?
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that.
No, I was just saying, Chimaev, what are they feeding that boy?
Yeah, that was 2 in 10 days.
2 in 10 days, and he's after the fight, he's like, I'll take another one next weekend. Like,
yeah, I don't think he's. I'm not even real sure. I'd be interested to go back and watch him to see if he hadn't even land on him in 2 fights.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
at a mark in both.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. That quick of a turnaround, 2 back-to-back super dominant performances.
Yeah. And McKee's not he's not like, top 10 or anything, but he's a tough kid. Like, he doesn't want to give up, and he wasn't quitting. Like, earlier in the card, we saw a couple fights where the person was just kind of, looking for a way out. Like, he wasn't looking for a way out. He was looking for a way out of the position. And not find it.
No, man, Chimaev was all over him. Absolutely brutal. I really don't even know much more we can talk about on that fight other than this kid's a monster, and I'd like to see what he can do in the top 10.
Yeah, me too. I hope the last 2 have earned him a shot against a name. Even if it's not top 10, if somebody's just out, as long as it's a name, that's he's gonna make some noise, I think.
Yeah, and what I like about him, man, is the way that he talks.
Mm-hmm.
He's not afraid to be boastful. He's not afraid to kind of have that ego you have to really rise through the ranks and get those big shots in the UFC.
Right. But he walks that border. He doesn't come across as, there's a real thin line between like confident and cocky.
Yeah.
And in MMA, you definitely have to walk it, and because you have to get viewers. Whether or not they hate you, whether or not they like you, and I think he's doing a good job. He's got. I like him. He's got me, and I'm definitely one of those guys that if you're too cocky or if you're fake, I don't like you. So
yep,
good job.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to see what comes out of him next.
Definitely.
But moving on, Oliveira and Sabato.
Yeah. That's one of the fights that I wanted to discuss. I wasn't disappointed with the outcome. I actually was rooting for Oliveira. I like him. But this is one of those instances that I know there were glaring problems because they were happening to the fighter that I wanted to lose. And if I'm noticing them and saying, okay, this is a problem, and it's my guy winning, then I know they're a real problem. So my problem with the fight was the way Oliveira was fighting that. In the first round, he was keeping his hand outstretched. He was doing his distance thing, but he was keeping it low enough that it wasn't, dangerous, or at least not initially. And in the course of the second round, he threw a definitive 12-6 elbow up against the cage, and he cut him directly on the crown of the head, like not to the side, not that mohawk you're not allowed to touch. It was directly on top of the head, and it was not one of those I'm coming in sideways type of elbows.
Yeah, no, there's no angle there, man.
Yeah, it was definitely. There's only one, and I understand. I've said before, like those situations where it's up against the fence, there's scrambling kind of going on. You can't really call it. So I understand why it didn't get called, but it was the first thing that happened that upon watching it a second time, it was pretty obvious, like, that cut is going to change the complexion of the fight, right?
Yeah.
You got blood in your eyes, etc.
Yeah. And then he straight finger jabs him.
Yeah. And that was after he kicked him below the belt.
Yeah.
So then kick the groin. He gets 5 minutes, then you're right. Finger jab in the eye.
So he got kicked. He actually got 2 groin shots, but they didn't call the second one.
Yeah.
He Oliveira kicked him, and Sabato just kind of stepped back and then kept going. Like he adjusted his cup a little bit, and they kept going. I'm like, man,
that guy got the short end of the stick as far as getting fouled, called 3 times, not even having a point taken.
Yeah.
So not only is he fighting against blood, against 2 low blows, and now he can't see, but no penalty is taking place. So that the next round, Oliveira's fingers are right there at his eye level. And if you haven't taken a point, then there's no reason for him not to lower his hand. Like, he's getting away with it. Why
I mean,
say anything? Why change it? You have to say.
And that would have easily made that fight a draw, or even turned it in Sabata's favor.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a close fight to begin with.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure. I don't remember the scorecards, but the first round was very close. I think I gave it to Cowboy, but it was close enough that it could have gone the other way. And then certainly second round, you should have taken a point. So going into that third round, instead of Sabata having to finish, instead of him having to come out and fight the game plan of I have to finish this guy, which in my opinion everybody should fight that way anyway. Yeah. But he could have come out with, okay, if I win this round, it's a draw, assuming he lost the second round. And if I get a 10-8 this round, I can win. I don't have to finish him. But because of the way they called it, he had to finish. And, fingers were directly in his eyes, so he's going to have trouble rushing forward trying to, blitz him. Yeah. Something to happen with that kind of stuff. Every time we do these videos, there's something to discuss.
Oh, yeah, man. It sucks, too. Like, I get it. I get that whole, you're getting your distance thing. I love doing that. But, like, come on, man, get your fingers up.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for flicking your fingers out at the guy.
No. And that was after the Trinaldo Herbert prelim final fight. Did you catch that one?
No, I didn't catch any of the prelims. I just got the main card in.
Yeah, there were really only a couple things to discuss on the prelims, in my opinion. There were a couple dominant performances of some people that I'd like Amiv and Evaloev, or however he pronounces his name, Mavsar. I'd like to see both of them fight again. They're Mavsar's undefeated. Undefeated, and they both did real well. Then we had what people are calling Frank Mir Jr., who came out, and I think it's just the way he looks, but he came out. He's 8-2, and he knocked out his opponent in 45 seconds, and it was impressive, heavyweight debut. So hopefully he'll fight somebody with a little bit more challenge, because the guy he was fighting went down, and he went down. And but the final prelim was Trinaldo against Herbert. It was a good fight, and Trinaldo finished him in the third. No question about the finish. There was not an early stoppage, certainly, and there was no question on whether anything was legal, nothing like that. He landed a shot, knocked him cold, and he hit the ground in that fashion that you see in the movies where people fall on their head, bounces, and possibly that wakes them back up, that kind of thing. And Trinaldo stood over him like, fight's over, and ref didn't call the fight. And there's no sound in the arena. So I believe that it was who's the fighter who's doing the announcing. No, I'm drawing a total blank. Why am I drawing a blank? One of the announcers, who's the fighter, screams at him, what are you doing? Stop the fight. And he doesn't. And Trinaldo has to launch like 5 punches into this guy's unconscious face, who, of course, he wakes up as you get hit. But he launches a few punches into his face. And then, with no sound in the arena, the same announcer says, that pisses me off. And if I'm remembering correctly, it was Herb Dean. Like, what you consider to be a high-quality ref. And,
wow. Herb Dean's had some questionable calls over the years, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because he is a veteran coach, and for most of it, I like Herb Dean's calls, but
and he used to fight in the cage, whatnot, and he, I feel comfortable when he's fighting, but that was definitely a bad call. That was he's unconscious. He doesn't need to
for those people watching at home, that's so incredibly dangerous. There's been fighters that have gotten brain damage severely from that, because once you hit and you're already rattled, and then somebody comes down with those big hands and you can't defend it. I mean, it's that can put you in a bad situation for a long time.
When you land something and there's flash knockouts, guy hits the ground. But if by the time Trinaldo or whoever it is standing over him, ready to launch more punches, and that person has not tried to regain guard, get his feet in the way, something other than the I'm unconscious, but I'm still, kind of thing, like, fight's over, stop the fight. Like, it was a bad call. That was pretty much it from the prelims. It was a good fight by Trinaldo. A great knockout. And like I said, a couple impressive. There was a rear naked choke submission, but same thing. It was guy knocked down his opponent, and it was kind of just a short, lazy. They were exchanging punches, and it wasn't a punch you would expect them to go down off of. And straight, didn't even turn his hips really. It was just straight left, but hit him right on the butt, knocked him down, went to mount. And that was one of those, I'm looking for a way out, just rolls over. He's only on his side, and he gets, choked.
Yep.
So, besides that, that was it. Main card, though, that was worth talking about.
Yeah. So, Antigua Love punching himself right into a triangle.
Yeah. But, I mean, he definitely could have avoided the triangle, I think. But that being said, like Paul Craig has numerous triangles now. I think they said he has 7 or something.
The most in UFC history.
Yeah, he's definitely good at the triangle.
Yeah,
and he, as soon as he threw it on, it was a nice setup to get it over his shoulder. He crossed his feet. Now, he actually kind of crossed his feet backwards from what I've been told. The foot that you want to figure 4, you'd rather have that be crossed behind, so you don't have to uncross them in order to slide it down. But he crossed him, kind of got that fly trap motion. And although he was trying to land punches on him from there, unless I watch it numerous times and stuff, it's conceivable that he felt like fighting out of it was going to be more difficult and dangerous than throwing his punches. And he obviously has that. Is he from the Ukraine as well? And no
idea.
A lot of those guys have that Fedor, like, you try to put me in a submission, I'm going to knock you in the next week kind of mentality, and it's just the way they fight.
Yeah, that I'm going to punch my way out. But I mean, against Paul Craig, a guy who, literally 13 wins, 12 are submissions, like, that was a risky call.
Yeah, and I think I'm Scottish, so I like him. So I kind of feel like he has a niche there that's not filled by a whole lot of other fighters.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him continue to fight. I have an idea he's going to kind of fall in that same realm as the I'm horrible with names today. Can't remember his name. He's I believe he's also Ukrainian or Russian, but he's the one who hits Ezekiel's from everywhere without the gi. Did it from the bottom now, and he has like 50 fights or whatever before he ever got in the UFC, and he lost to it was Verdun fairly recently, but he's or over him. But either way, he definitely is. He's always a threat with his submissions, but I don't think he's ever going to quite make that jump to the title picture.
Yeah.
I hope that Craig proves me wrong, but I kind of see the same thing. I think he's going to always be a challenge, but just be one step away.
Yeah, man, but I'll give him all the credit in the world, man. I had a coach that used to tell everybody, like, you hit a black belt, he becomes a brown belt. You hit a brown belt, he becomes a purple belt. And so on and so forth. And this is a dude that was getting hit hard and still locked a triangle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, tough guy.
Skill.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Carla Esparza and Mariana Rodriguez.
I gotta be a little honest. I'm getting kind of tired of seeing Carla Esparza, who I like. I like how calm she is before the fights. During the fights, she seems to be, a nice girl. But I mean, she's leaving fights looking like she got hit by a truck, and she's winning these decisions by being on top. And she's definitely active up there, and she's grounded some. She's grinding, but man, is she taking some damage in these fights. And at some point,
and dude, Rodriguez was nailing her with those elbows from the bottom. Just nailing her.
I haven't seen the scorecards, but she lost. Esparza lost the first round, in my opinion. Like, she got takedowns, but she was getting beaten up from the bottom, and she was getting beaten up. But I think one of the judges still gave Esparza the first round. I think all the other ones it was 29-28, so I'm assuming it was the next two. But she got beat up, and then when she was going for the ankle, and it was just a straight ankle she was going for, without any leg lacing involvement, just dropping back for an ankle, she was getting annihilated from there as well. She was taking serious damage while controlling the fight and grinding out damage that was not doing nearly the level.
No, man. Rodriguez is beating her up from the bottom, and those are always such tough fights to call.
Yeah, they are tough. I'm not necessarily saying the decision is wrong based on scoring.
Yeah, honestly, by the time that one got to the judges, I didn't even know how to call it.
Yeah,
I was just like, it'll be interesting to see which way this went. I didn't even bother trying to score. After I seen Rodriguez being so active from the bottom, I was like, I'm not even gonna try. I don't know how they're gonna score this one. It can go either way. But
and that's kind of how her last fight went too, if I'm not mistaken. She she beat Michelle Watterson in her last fight. Same thing, 3 rounds, won the decision, but got beat up pretty bad in that decision.
Yeah, man, and you can't build a long career out of that.
Yeah.
Your body can only take so much abuse, man.
I'm glad that she's still in it and fighting and doing what she's doing, because she was the first champion, right? And at that weight class. And, she's tough, and she's got very good takedowns, and she obviously can take a shot. So I'd like to see her continue to do what she's doing, just, figure out how not to take that damage.
Yeah. I mean, all that's the head movement.
Yeah.
They can't hit your head if it's not there.
Dropping for the foot is not the right thing to do in her situation. Certainly not a straight Achilles. Like, go for something else unless you are insanely good at those.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard anything about Carla Esparza's crazy Achilles lock ability. So
Verdum and Gustafsson. I gotta say, I did not see Verdum taking that.
Yeah, I didn't see it happening that way. That easy.
No. It's just like man. Verdum came back heavy in that fight.
Yeah, he definitely looked like he was in better shape. He looked like he trained for this fight. The last fight, he looked bad. The fight before that, he looked good. He lost, but he looked good. But he looked bad. Like, just physically, he did not look good in that last fight. So I kind of expect he's 42. Yeah. But guy of that level with his grappling, if he gets you down and controls you, that guy is a snatch and grab from everywhere. He is a very, very dangerous fighter. And, I mean, he's a former champion, right?
Yep.
I don't know how he was the underdog going into the fight, given the weight jump and his history. But, man, I did not see it happening that way.
No, man, I was mind blown. Absolutely mind blown.
I want Gustafsson to continue fighting. I want him to come back. Want this to be like I'm not real sure, honestly, why he left the 205 unless he was having trouble with the cut, because, basically the guys who can beat him are not there anymore. Most of them.
Which, I mean, I get it to an extent, though. I mean, he didn't look bad. I think he weighed in at like 240.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't look bad. So, I mean, my thought is it was probably he was having a hard time making weight. I mean, how much do you think he was walking at and then cutting for 205?
Yeah. And, having trouble, by all means, especially when he's able to put that 240 on the way he did. And he did not look, to me, if he was fighting another 205er, Like, I didn't see a giant difference in his body composition.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. There's a little more around the midsection, but I mean, for the most part, it didn't seem like a huge difference.
Yeah.
But I mean, that jump from 205 to heavyweight always scares me. It's like the knockout power just multiplies.
Yes, and it's a very good indication of why people need to keep a realistic grip on their, hey, John Jones should jump up and fight Francis Ngannou. It's like, okay, like Gustafsson, who always has that height and reach difference, it was essentially they both weighed 240, about the same height, and I think there was a 2-inch difference in reach. Like,
yeah,
and all those advantages go away, the things you've been fighting with for a long time. John Jones with his freakishly long, weird
8-foot
arms,
wingspan.
yeah, he's still going to have advantage, but it's not going to be the same. And
No.
some of the guys he goes against are not going to be. He gets caught in an armbar like he did against Vitor, against Verdum, fight's over. Like his arm's breaking. Like it's a different. That 40 pounds we were talking about last time, where there should be another weight class in there, other than 205 for guys like maybe to go to. At 225, like you jumped to 240, 250, and you're fighting monsters like Francis Ngannou or Stipe.
Yeah, I mean, guys that like they hit you, and it looks like you just got smacked in the face with a cinder block.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of extra force.
I'm like everybody. I want John Jones to jump forward. I want him to go up a weight class, but it's not because I expect him to be the same dominant fighter, because one, not really that guy anymore. We're living like 10 years ago or something, where he was choking Machida out against the cage and stuff like that. Like, he just slowly started losing fights that the judges gave to him. I can think of, off the top of my head, Gustafsson won.
Yeah,
one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's not the same fighter. And if he jumps up like somebody like Stipe.
I'm not going to say that there was, something in there performing or enhancing his performance. I'm not going to go on record and say that, hey, those wiener pills might have been giving him the edge. But
but it's been popped before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He doesn't exactly have the greatest track record of being an exceptional human being as far as, like a driving record or things like that. So.
Yeah, it's one of those guys, man. He's his own worst enemy. His own worst enemy.
Yeah. He has a very definitive legacy in MMA for being as dominant as he was, young champion, basically undefeated, except for, the defeat he has should probably be turned around with the illegal elbow or not. But people see it as, well, he didn't really lose. But then he has a couple wins that shouldn't have been wins. But he has a very, very definitive, effectively dominant championship reign. And he needs to be careful how he is ending it, because he doesn't have that staple of outside the octagon. He's this, flawless. He's not GSP outside the octagon, right? So GSP retired, and one of the greatest of all time. People calling him back because they want to take it. John Jones, if he goes to heavyweight and gets annihilated, his legacy probably not going to be quite as flawless as some of the other fighters who have retired on top.
So Shogun Rua and Nogueira.
Yeah. I can't believe the last time we talked about this, I have an insane amount of fights in my head from 93 on, 94 on. And I actually said, did they fight before? Like, something was talking in my head. I don't know if they fought before. They fought twice.
Apparently twice. Yeah.
I couldn't believe. After we got it, like about half an hour later, I was just sitting there and I was like, did I actually say that?
Yep. So, I mean, this is 3-0 for Shogun.
Yeah. I had him lose one of those previous two, but he won this one pretty definitively.
Yeah. It was a pretty definitive victory, man. But, I'll give Nogueira this. At 44 years old, He's in there taking big shots, and he's throwing them back.
Yeah. And he got knocked out bad by Rumble and didn't lose it. You know how some people it out, whether you lose your jaw, supposedly, blah, blah, blah.
Nah.
Get older. Once you lose, get that knockout. He didn't have that problem. He took some shots. They both look good for their age. They didn't tarnish their legacy by having this Chuck Tito third fight thing.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good, tough fight, man.
Yeah, and one of the judges gave Nogueira the fight. Like, it was a split.
Yeah.
But I thought Shogun won.
Same.
Pretty.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with the split decision. I definitely think that Shogun took it, but I mean, Nogueira's tough.
Absolutely.
He's
and
tough.
He was at one point, he was like just out of that, like one fight away, couldn't take that last fight jump to get where I thought he had the ability to be. I thought he had that level to be where his brother was, in heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
He armbarred Dan Henderson, which is certainly not easy to do, and beat Tito, at times that guys weren't just walking through these guys, like especially Henderson. And, he was always a good boxer, and then he would just randomly lose fights that you wouldn't expect him to lose. Like he lost to when he looked like the Predator, I can't remember how he pronounced his name. No, the guy I'm talking about with the dreads.
Yeah.
To the UFC. Good, solid fighter, but when he fought him, he was like who the heck is this guy? And, knocked him out. He was always that one fight away. I hope he retired after this fight, from everything I understand. This was his last one. Yeah,
and this is his big hurrah.
I think he did, like a lot of people, deserves a place in the Hall of Fame. So
yeah,
I hope he gets there.
Same. Whitaker and Till.
I'll let you talk first on this one. What'd you think?
I don't know, man. I mean, it seemed like it was just going back and forth. I mean, first round, I definitely gave Till. Second round, Whitaker. By the end of the third, I was like, that could go either way. I mean, it was.
Yeah. I was exactly where you were.
Yeah.
I might have given a 10-8 round to the second round. It was probably not, but I might have. Like, I wouldn't have looked sideways if a judge had done that. The strike difference was enormous in that round, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was astronomical.
But the judges did the same thing, because we can hear those judges and not the judges, the
commentators.
The announcers are saying, like, he needs a finish, and the people at home are commenting, and obviously you and me, like, I'm thinking the third round was really close. It could very easily be 2-2. It could be 2-2 going into this final round.
Yep.
And they're screaming like, no, there's no way, he needs a finish, and it was the right decision. No problem with the judges' scorecards on this one. Nothing like that. Whitaker did a very, very good controlling job. Till definitely didn't, I don't think, lose anything by losing the fight. I mean, obviously something, as far as ranking, who he's fight next, whatever. But, as far as his potential, where it could go.
Yeah.
I don't.
No. I mean, it was a tough fight, man. It was definitely a tough fight. It wasn't like Till got dominated in that fight.
No. Yeah, it was.
He was definitely in there to the end. I mean, going out of that first round, I was like, wow, he's taking Whitaker apart.
Yeah.
And then come the second round, I was like, okay, there's the Whitaker we know. And then by the third round, I was like, how do I score this?
Yeah, third round close.
Yeah.
And I think 4 and 5 was pretty definitively Whitaker. I think he came back, won the rounds, and some of those fighters at that level, it's difficult for me to tell whether or not the fighters themselves are just at this other level where the fights look a little bit less like someone's trying to go for it and finish it, and more like a sparring session. Obviously, it's not really a sparring session, but you know what I mean. Like, have that urgency that you see in some fighters in some fights. I can't tell if that's just because some of these fighters are so evenly matched, or if they are fighting with a different mentality of, I don't want to lose my spot in the rankings. I don't want to lose this fight because he gets top control. I don't want to, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And for me, over the long haul, that can affect a fighter's performance. If Khabib changed the way he fought, he might not be the best example. He was wrestling bears when he was 6, but some of those fighters, they change the way they fight. It can negatively affect their outcomes in their fight because they prey off that killer instinct.
Yep. Yeah, and I think honestly, I've always thought that the 5-round versus a 3-round fight really made a difference. Because you'll have those fighters in a 3-round fight, they go out there and they dominate all 3 rounds. But when they're in a 5-round fight, they'll kind of skate the first couple rounds and really aim heavy in rounds 3, 4, and 5, just so they're not burned out by the time that comes around.
Or vice versa, like we just saw, in my opinion, with Holloway. Came out. I thought he won 1 through 3, and then 4, 5 just either took his foot off the gas and tried to coast, or just didn't have anything left. I doubt that's him, but.
Yeah, with Holloway, man, it's weird because he's always known as this guy that just does not have quit. Like, he's got that endless gas tank, and then for him to skate those last 2 rounds was strange.
It was a little weird. It was a little. It was definitely a little strange.
So
what do we got
next? Next,
Brunson
and
Shabazan.
As I say, I'm not even gonna try. You can try to pronounce that if you want, but and that is what, this Saturday? Yep.
Yeah, and I believe, unless I'm mistaken, I'm almost positive that the guy's name that I can't pronounce, Edmund Shabazan, that's just me. I can't pronounce people's names. I did well in school except for languages.
I'm right there with you. I cannot pronounce names for crap.
I got accents down, but actual languages, I got some serious problems. So, but I believe that guy is like the golden boy, next GSP from their gym. If I'm not mistaken, he trains there and has since he was 10, I believe. And he's undefeated. I know he's undefeated, and he's looked insanely impressive. So I'm very interested to see how he does. He's one of those fighters that impressed me so much the last couple times out. I've been looking forward to him fighting somebody. And Brunson's, he's a great fighter. So it'll be very interesting to see whether or not he can keep that hype train going, or whether or not, it was Brunson, I believe, who shut down the last hype train, if I'm not mistaken. So, And then Joanne Calderwood's coming back, and I like her. So,
yeah. So I know last time we were talking about bringing up the suspensions once they came out from UFC what was it, 173?
Yeah, I think they maybe 174 was what the internet says was the last fight night.
Yeah, so this would be 170. Yeah, be 173, which it's funny because I pulled this article up through SureDog, and it says 172.
Yeah,
it was definitely 173. So somebody titled this article wrong. But but just some of these suspensions. Benavidez, 45 days for the forehead laceration, 30 days no contact. I feel like
I'm glad he wasn't seriously hurt during it.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair, man. I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't worse than that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he took shots. So not come out of there with a broken jaw or broken anything for that matter. It's good. I'm glad he's going to be able to at least get back out there and make his decision on where he's going to go next from a healthy, I can get in the gym and train kind of place versus I'm on the shelf and I got to decide whether or not, depression's going to get the best of me here. So that's good. How about the rest?
So that knockout, drag out brawl that was Fiziev and was DeCasey. Yeah, DeCasey.
Yeah.
Both of them, 30-day suspensions for the hard bout, 21 days no contact.
Wow.
That's it.
That's great.
I'm like, dude.
Have them fight each other again. I don't care.
Yes. It was so fun to watch. It was so fun to watch, man. But
Yes,
30
it was.
days, I was like, I'm surprised that was it. I've definitely seen fighters get worse suspensions for less abuse.
I can't believe that that guy did not have some sort of internal damage to his ribs that would have kept him out longer from the body shots that he took from physique, because
Yeah.
that they were monstrous kicks.
Dude,
I
they
need to
hurt
get
they
that
hurt
working.
me from my couch.
Yeah,
That's how bad that was.
he should immediately retire and just release a core workout home video.
Body hardening for dummies.
Yeah.
So the big suspension on the entire night, if you couldn't guess, Carolina.
How long?
180 days unless cleared by a left knee MRI. 30-day minimum, 21 days no contact.
Well, I hope it comes back negative. I hope she doesn't have
Yeah.
like a ligament tear.
Yeah. I mean, that was a brutal knee bar. If you guys
Yes,
haven't
it was.
watched it, I suggest going back and watching it.
I'm glad Gastelum, I'm assuming he doesn't have any damage to his knee.
No, not that I've seen. He wasn't even on the suspension list. I'm
Good.
sure he probably got the standard 7-day though, at least.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
gets that, but
He did tap, it was minute 18 in, and like people were calling him out on, which I think is ridiculous, but he did tap fairly quickly, like as far as not rolling and struggling really hard to get out. So I was thinking, well, maybe he just, didn't show it, but something happened. So I'm glad nothing happened.
yeah, but I mean, even then, I mean, you've been put in knee bars and leg submissions and ankle hooks and all that.
Never.
Never.
No, I'm a block that nobody can figure out.
Yeah, right. So I mean, though, like you feel that pressure, and sometimes you're just like, this is gonna go. This is gonna go. Either I tap or this is going to turn bad very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So I mean,
just he knew he made a mistake and didn't want to risk going out for a long time. I can't think of his history. Maybe he's even had an injury in his leg before that put him out for a while. I know for certain I tore my rotator cuff 7 months ago, and had to slowly get back into it and rehab and go to the gym, slowly start it. If anything happens to my shoulder, somebody gets me in a Kimura anytime soon, like I know I'll be tapping. So it's possible there was a little of that too.
I popped my knee out of place. Didn't even do any damage. Just popped it out of place. It popped right back in. And even then, it was like a month I couldn't do anything on it.
Yeah.
I couldn't support weight on it. I couldn't throw kicks on it. Grappling was a chore. It's so. I mean, legs are no joke. I mean, they have to support your body all day long.
Yeah, especially your legs. Like there's chokes, especially. Like I don't, at a level of the UFC, I still don't understand why people tap to the chokes. I like that last second and a half. As long as you're struggling to get out, you never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hughes against Newton so long ago when he's in the triangle up against the fence. He falls unconscious. He doesn't tap, falls unconscious. And when he does, he slams Carlos Newton and knocks him out. And the referee doesn't realize he's unconscious. He wins the belt. And wakes up.
Yeah, I remember that. No,
of course, they fought again, and he, legitimately beat Newton. But, had he tapped, that would have been a totally different situation, right? So,
yeah. I mean,
arms and legs, man, you got to tap.
You know what, dude? I would rather get armbarred or key locked or Kimura any day of the week before somebody hits me with a leg submission.
Yeah. Knees, especially as you get older, man, your knees and your ankles, you don't want to, especially your knees, you don't want to mess with them, because especially for those people who just train as a hobby or as a lifestyle, your ego hurts for a little while, but not nearly as long as it's going to take if you don't tap and your knee gets messed up or whatever. There's certain things that I have taught, like when I teach heel hooks, and I actually was just teaching one the other day, that if you go for a heel hook, isolating the leg is such a large part of a leg submission that the actual lock itself sometimes is not nearly as important. So if you're training and you just work to isolate the leg and then let the person try to fight their way out, it's a lot safer. I saw an injury between two of my old students. I won't name who they were, but one of them higher level guys, and one of them put the other guy in a heel hook. They were rolling no gi, and the guy was defending the heel hook while he was in it, was rolling. Person applying the heel hook was rolling as well. And the way the room was shaped, it had like kind of an outward point, kind of looked like this and then continued going. So the wall went further like this, and it was all matted. So they ended up over here when they started rolling, and the person applying the heel hook hit the wall. The person rolling did not hit the wall, and he never applied the heel hook, but the person rolling blew his own knee out because the wall got in the way. Had nothing to do with either person. So as a result, ever since then, I've told people, hey, it's not worth it to risk you or somebody else injuring themselves when you're just coming to class and you're just training. My instructor, Craig Kramer, currently my original instructor as well, he's a big proponent of, you don't even need to fully take the arm, and that's not even a knee, that's just the arm, because if you get an arm fully extended and you're escaping it while your arm's fully extended, you messed up a long time ago. Like, you should not have gotten to here. This is where you're defending it with grit rather than technique most of the time. So, tap, go back to where you messed up and work from there.
Yeah, and I can tell you there's been a lot of guys I've actually let go from that position. You get that arm bar and you have it nice and cemented, and they're not tapping, and you're like, well, I could snap this, but, I'm just letting this go.
Yeah, especially from the guard. If you throw an arm bar on the guard, if you don't snap that thing or really put some pressure into it, the person on top is going to work their way out of it, especially just in training a lot of times, because you truly have to isolate them or sweep them onto their back, because otherwise, on a bullheaded guy, especially white belts and whatnot, no offense in white belts, but, they're just going to try to slam their way out, pull their way out, stack you as hard as they can for this,
Just stack you and then try and, slam you on the ground, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm a proponent of training things that when you don't train form bad habits, like getting slammed. If you don't train how to defend getting slammed, you're going to get slammed when you're doing it for real. I takedowns especially. If you start from the knees every single time you roll, or you start from positionally, you never train takedowns, you're missing a big part of your game. Blah blah blah. But that being said, at the end of the day, you're just paying money and going into a room and wrestling around with other guys in pajamas or spandex. So keep your ego in check, and don't worry about whether or not you're tapping everybody every single time. You'll train a lot longer.
Yep, and you'll get better. You'll get better.
Get better. Just show up. You're gonna get better. Can't help it. Yeah. So the next card, Saturday. It also has a couple other fighters on it that are good. We have Bobby Green again fighting Vincent Lucua, however he pronounces his name, Luque. Vincente. I think is not Vincent, but whatever. He's a good fighter as well. I'm looking forward to those fights. So there's a lot of those fights that they may not be the biggest names in the world, but there's potential for good fights in there. We also have Ed Herman who's coming back. I hope that dude fights forever. That guy's been fighting him. Some of those. What was he? Ultimate Fighter 2 was he in the final of? Yeah, he made it in the final. I'm pretty sure it was Ultimate Fighter 2. So that dude's been fighting forever too. So let's hope he wins. He may not. But I like the old guard.
Definitely looks like there's a lot of people making their debut. They don't even have their pictures up. So.
And then, of course, in August we got Stipe and his big fight. So obviously we'll be discussing that.
Yeah, we got.
Hopefully next time we'll leave a little bit of room. Maybe we can talk about what we think has to happen in that for Stipe to win.
Yeah. Yeah, we got Brunson, and then after that, Lewis and Olenek, and then the Stipe and Cormier fight.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Olenek was the guy I was trying to think of earlier, the Nogi Ezekiel guy.
Yeah.
59 win.
Yeah, he's 59-13-1.
Yeah. You don't see that too much anymore. You certainly don't. You don't see like Travis Fulton out there. For those of you who know who Travis Fulton is, go to like a Fight Finder or a SureDog or something and look up somebody like Travis Fulton's fighting record, not even boxing, just MMA, and see how many hundreds of fights the dude has. It's amazing. Him and Jeremy Horn the same way for a long time. There was guys like that were fighting back in the day that just every weekend they'd fight, they'd get back in their car, they'd drive to the next fight, they'd fight on Friday, they'd fight on Saturday, they'd drive to the next place. And that was like almost their training. So Travis Fulton check him out. He also has the greatest finish in the history of the world when he hit a rock bottom a long time ago. Like if you've ever wanted to see the rock bottom in an MMA fight, he hits it legit. Travis Fulton, rock bottom, YouTube it right now.
So before we get off here, I'm going to put it on the record. Stipe better win. You better win.
Yeah.
You better win. All right.
I think he's gonna win. But Cormier is. I mean, he's a phenomenal fighter. I had him beating Jones when they fought the first time. I really thought he was going to beat Jones' kryptonite, and he's a really, really talented fighter. And I think he's actually better at heavyweight than he is at light heavyweight.
You know, man, when it comes to Cormier, I think his biggest strength is he is so good at being an analyst.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at picking people apart, and I think that's really his strength. Is he'll obsess over footage, and he will find that hole in your game, and he will exploit it.
Yeah,
I mean that's what happened the first time. Literally, footage. He's like, we noticed that as he was leaving the clinch, he was dropping that hand. That's how he beat him. You know.
Yeah.
But
he was legit winning that second fight up until Stipe found and changed his strategy, found his opening while the fight was going on, which was one of the most impressive things I've seen a heavyweight fighter do in a long time.
Yeah. Which, for those of you guys who don't know, this podcast comes out of Northeast Ohio. Stipe is our boy.
Yeah.
He broke the Cleveland curse.
He's a great guy. He's a firefighter. Even as UFC heavyweight champion, he was still being a firefighter.
Yep.
Great guy when you meet him. Pablo, who trained with a long time ago at Kramer's as well. He's brought guys out there to train with Stipe who are local guys. You know, he's invited me. He's invited, guys that I know, Jane Nance and Jim Soroki. People have gone out there and trained with him. And Stipe is legit dangerous at everything he does. And for you go on my Facebook page and take a look at like pictures of me and Stipe. Guy is enormous. Like I'm 6'1", 220, and his head is like 3 times the size of my head. It's he's ridiculously large. He grabs a hold and he can like Indian burn you and give you a tap. Like
man,
sick big.
Jason Denton, Ryan Madigan have a picture with him, and I mean, dude, standing next to Ryan, I just feel short. And then seeing him stand next to Stipe, I'm just like, really, man? Like Ryan's a tall guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot. Northeast Ohio has a very, very good crop of fighters. Jason Dent and guys that have fought that are legit talented. Ryan Madigan, not only was he like a legitly dangerous. Is that a word? Legitly dangerous stand-up fighter, and fought in Chuck Norris's league and whatnot. But he in MMA was effective as well. He had a rough going in his one UFC outage, but if he had been paired up with almost any other fighter, I think he would have done perfectly fine. He's a tough guy. Jason Dent, seen tons, in the UFC. There's some tough come out of Ohio, man.
Yeah, man. Jason's tough. I've got to spar with him. Doesn't matter how hard you hit that guy, he just hits you back even harder, and it's never a fun experience.
Yep.
I'm lying, of course. It's always a fun experience. I love sparring with Jason, but he's tough, man.
Yeah, definitely. So don't sleep in Ohio.
Yeah. No, man, Ohio's got some great talent. I mean, I love going to the amateur shows. The amateur shows, I see some of these amateurs put on better shows than professionals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and there's guys that are on that lower level, even in the guys who used to fight back, before there was a whole lot of you know, footage or historical web recognition of it. You know, there's guys like us who have been around forever, but then there's guys who have, like Jessica Eye, obviously, title challenger in the UFC, you know, phenomenal athlete herself. You know, her jiu-jitsu coach now that she's moved out, you know, Darren Branch was from around here, and you know, same thing, trained with him numerous times. He's Pan Am champion. He's a good guy, and you know, people like that can step into highest level MMA roles and not miss a beat, you know. And we've already talked about Dent and obviously Madigan in coaching role. Him and Coleman have been in a couple of the corners. There's
I
a
know
lot of
Ryan's
good
been
training.
doing. Yeah, I was gonna say I know Ryan's been working. At least last time I knew, he was working with Matt Brown on his fights. So
Just going to mention Matt Brown. I was about to
yeah.
get Matt Brown.
Another tough guy who's still fighting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Always root for Matt.
yeah, always. But all right, Chris, I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. It was good talking to you as always, and we'll set something up for Saturday.
Absolutely, man. Have a good one.
You too.